Hi, I have the pleasure of introducing Marco Bertini. And Marco is joining us. He's an assistant professor of marketing at the London Business School. He falls in the category of our other speakers. He's a real underachiever. He got his PhD at Harvard. He's lived in 5 countries. And as a leading expert in pricing strategy, he combines extensive executive education with practical commercial experience, and he looks across a range of industries and geographies. And Marco's going to talk with us today about some of the themes that we've been hearing about as it relates to the last talk with Tom, devices really influencing data, data influencing our understanding of consumers' behavior. And he's going to be talking to us about how we do influence consumers' behavior through promotions and discounts, and at the end of the day, some of those are good ones, and some of them are dumb ones, and so he's going to teach us how not to be dumb. So join me in welcoming Marco.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. All right. We're still in the morning? Yes, good morning, everybody. So, you know, I was sitting through the first few speakers yesterday and today, and I was thinking about the whole global thing. And it reminded me of an incident that happened to me when I was much, much younger, just as a way of introduction. So I'm Italian. The name kind of gives it away. But when I was 12, my dad used to work for a company called Bertolli. Does anybody know that company? What does Bertolli do? Well, olive oil, right? So it's the I think the world's #1 olive oil brand. By the way, nobody ever comes down from the stage. I always thought it's. Anyhow, so my dad was working at Bertolli at the time, and he was the head of the factory, sort of the personnel of the factory, and he saw this notice on a notice board one day about opening the branch of the company in Austria, and he thought, you know, great, I've got 2 small kids. This is my perfect chance to go away and to, you know, and to start something new, get ahead in my career, get some skiing done. I'll go by train, come back by train, and everything will be great. And it wasn't. I was looking at this global part, and it wasn't until 2 days before he came back from work one day before he was going to leave that he had this very, very concerned look on his face, kind of like the captain of the Titanic that we saw just a few moments ago. And it was 2 letters that kind of changed our life forever. He misread the country's name by 2 letters. Can anybody guess what country that might be? Australia, right? So 86, and we were like, where the hell is Australia, right? You know, sorry for that, but you know, and we got out the globe and we started looking at it, and it definitely wasn't in the northern hemisphere. It just so happens that Australia actually ends up being at the bottom of the globe, not the globe, the Google Maps type globe, but the globe where the old-fashioned ones with the metal plate at the bottom. Usually a chunk of Australia is cut out at the bottom, and where we were living in Tasmania, of course, didn't even exist on that particular globe. But you know, so. Today, what I wanted to do with you guys is in a sense, I was awestruck by the speakers that you've had, and I guess I kind of want to bring you back to reality, if possible, for my 45 minutes. Reality in the sense that your everyday lives. And what I do, both in my research and in my work with companies, is try to help companies be better pricers, essentially. And in particular, you know, for today, we're going to take one very, very small idea, which is a discount, which could be as simple as that, or it could be as fancy as some sort of free offer, or whatever it might be, a sort of discount, and something that we think is very tactical. I think most of us would think it's very, very tactical, and boring. I mean, it's money off. It's not very exciting, and definitely frowned upon. We kind of do it. We wish we didn't have to, but we have to do it. Okay, and so what I do, and what I want to do with you is turn that same thing into a big idea. In the spirit of this conference, and this clicker is a little bit slow. Very slow in my case. Good. Strategic, engaging, and sought after. So that's kind of what I want to do with you for the next 41 minutes, or 40 minutes and 59 seconds, okay? So I think the best way to start is by analogy, okay? You probably heard, hands up who's heard this analogy before? Promotion is a drug. I mean, I think it's kind of very common. And we kind of see it, but I think it'd be nice to think about why that analogy or that metaphor is a good one. So this is usually not a good question to ask, but can anybody with some experience, or who's heard somebody who has experience with drugs, tell me why is this a good analogy? Usually it starts as, I've heard from a friend that. So tell me why is this a good analogy in your opinion? Sorry? Embellish a little bit. Let's start from the very beginning, right? So how do we even start? How do we've heard our friends starting with a drug, right? Testing of sorts. I'm going to call it peer pressure, right? We often start with drugs, promotions, Freudian slip. We start with promotions, I think, because others are doing it. In our industry, it's just endemic. Everybody does it, and it's something that we have to do. Perfectly good reason. I'm not criticizing that at all. People are doing it, so we have to do it. Or somebody tells us, try it, because it does something very good. Okay, so that's how we started. What comes next? Sorry? Can you describe it? I mean, can you? See, so we're talking about promotions, right? Yeah, okay. Right, so just at the high, right? Yeah, absolutely. So, but we have to. I think we have to be more specific about it. Of course, it's the high, but it's the cause and effect. We do branding, and branding we believe, we trust, has some effect in the future. And there's ways of measuring more and more these days with big data and whatnot. That's there. But promotions are great, right? You do it today, tomorrow the sales go up, right? And so yes, you get the high, the sales bump. We call it the sales bump. But also you see the cause and effect. You know that your money is going towards that. So that feels good, right? There's a direct connection. What comes next in our metaphor? Come on. Sorry? Well, let's see. What have I got here? My thing is just, okay, a dip, right? So you stop it, and I've heard that, you feel really bad. Not only do you feel really bad in the sense that you go back to normal, your baseline sales from before, but we have a thing that's called a post-promotion dip. The sales go below the pre-promotion period for some period of time, and then they hopefully stabilize back to normal, or maybe even stay higher if we encourage, say, trial, for example. Exactly like a drug, right? And what else? What next? Sorry? Just do it again, or do more? Why do we do more? Exactly. To get the same effect, we have to do more, right? And so there's habituation going on. It is exactly in a business. Our consumers get habituated to what they're taking, to what you're giving them in terms of the promotion, and therefore you have to give them more to maintain the same level of sales bump, okay? And then I think there's one more over there. It basically ends up ruling your life. So for many, I come from the UK. I work at London Business School. So you guys think you have potentially a promotion problem in your industries? You go to UK and have a look what happens there. Like groceries, everything is sold on promotion. I'm exaggerating, but it's almost true. It's amazing how much is promotion dependent the UK market. Let me give you an example from the UK, just quickly. Can you recognize this brand? Well, it's synonymous with the you call it something else here, but it's synonymous with the category in the UK. Hoover, right? I didn't know this before moving to the UK, because I used to live in Boston before going to the UK. And apparently, you Hoover your flat. You don't vacuum clean it. Okay, good. So 1993, beg your pardon. Hoover, household name, synonymous with the category. It's a household name. Happens to have lots of stock in its warehouse. So what do we do when we have a lot of stock? We promote to get it out there. You may have heard this story before. It's known as the biggest fiasco in promotional history of all time. To give an indication of how much of a drug it can be. And so what do? We have all this stock. We're going to have a promotion to start to move our stock. What are we going to do is we're going to have this great idea. We've heard, this is them, the management, we've heard that people don't really redeem coupons. It's true. People don't really redeem coupons. Okay, fine. So what do? We're going to make a big splash to move this stock. You buy any 100-pound Hoover, sorry, any Hoover, it's 100 pounds or more, you get 2 free flights within Europe. Sound good or dumb? It was great. It was great. People bought lots and lots of Hoovers. The average number of Hoovers, this is true statistic, given in a wedding registry went up from 0.5 to 3.4. So every wedding, 3.4 Hoovers per wedding, right? And people did not redeem the coupons, believe it or not. So, you know, I forget the actual amount, but basically, whatever amount that was, it was below what made it economical for them to offer this offer. But, you know, they didn't stop there, of course, because it's a drug, right? So we have to better it. And this is where you guys come into it, right? Yeah, if that works, why don't we, the coupon redemption rate is very, very low, right? So let's just make an even bigger splash. You buy any Hoover that is 100 pounds or more, and you will get 2 free flights to Florida, here perhaps, I think it was Orlando, or to New York. Not so good. That kind of ended up becoming a little bit more enticing. So people started, you know, basically saying, okay, give me, I got all my Hoovers, I got 6 Hoovers, can you please now give me my 12 tickets to go to the US for free? So what happened, we sold 200,000 units, and 83% of those units, people actually requested their flights all of a sudden, right? So that's, just to give you an indication, is 500 plus Boeing 747s. So you know the big plane with the hub and the thingy on top? They had to charter out 500 plus 747s to actually get people to go to the States. That doesn't really do good for your bottom line. 30 million in revenue, fine, 50 million in cost. And the company had to be sold to Candy, which is fine. It's an Italian company, so I'm pretty happy about that. And at the end of the story. So that's not a problem, right? But there's a silver lining to this story. But maybe, you know, it's a, I mean, I'm giving you an extreme scenario, but hopefully you guys realize, and it's in your everyday lives, that, you know, we have this feeling that we do too much promotion, that we wish we did less, but we cannot stop. Okay. If I may just push it a little bit further, this analogy, it's uncanny how much it is a drug, the promotion. You know, we know about placebo effects, right? So what is a placebo effect in medicine? So you're given a pill, which you believe is a real pill, and because you believe in the real pill, you believe expectations in your brain, and those expectations make you feel better, essentially. So you cure yourself through the placebo. Well, a good colleague of mine once gave out, well, actually had people purchase energy drinks. And energy drinks, of course, the performance part is, you know, it makes you perform better. That's the whole point of Red Bulls and all those energy drinks. And they were given, these energy drinks were bought either on promotion, it's a simple experiment, either bought on promotion or they were bought at a normal price. Then those people were asked to lift weights, because they were going to the gym, or to solve problems. The amazing thing about a discount is, you know, not only it increases your sales, fine, but it actually makes you perform worse. So the people who bought the energy drink, in this case, at a discount, lifted less weight. And the people that were doing problem-solving puzzles solved less problems than the people who actually paid the full price. Because it was on discount, you believe the quality is lower, therefore it performs lower in this particular case. And, you know, if you want to take this even further, you go to some other friends of mine who happens to be neuroscientists, you know, and what they've actually found, and this is, I'm not kidding here, what they've actually found is that the parts of, I'm not a neuroscientist, so forgive me if I'm, you know, I'm not very detailed with this, but essentially what they found is that if you give somebody extra money through the form of a discount, it has exactly the same reaction in a person's brain as it does taking a drug. Exactly the same, in a sense that it taps into the same part of the brain, has the same sort of mechanisms and connections. So, no wonder because of that you have, if you ask at least the companies that I work with, if I ask them, what is your, if you had to draw a diagram that sort of describes promotions, they usually come up with something that looks like that. I mean, this is pretty much what it looks like, right? Customers that run amok in a store, they buy everything possibly for free and on discount, the store is all wrecked, and the store owner not very happy, as you can see over here. And to connect back to the commercial that we saw just a moment ago, there we go. This is, everybody has their interpretation of JCPenney, right? And in hindsight, of course, is 2020, right? Of course. But wind the clock back to January 2012, and the first sort of campaigns was the enough is enough campaigns. You remember that, right? Where we had this, we saw this perception, and this is Ron Johnson talking up there. We had this perception that, it's just impossible, it's just, we shouldn't be doing it, it's really, really bad for us, and we need to stop. Okay, I think it's a great idea, by the way. I said it at the time, and I still say it now. I think it was an absolutely great idea. I think, however, the assumptions underneath that particular idea were the wrong ones. So the idea of being in line with the customer's life and not making them forced to do something can actually increase the customer's willingness to cooperate with you. And I've written an article about that last year. But I think it's built on the assumption, does it work from here, that a discount is only money. That's what I think is based. It's only money. There's nothing more to it than if I scratch your back, you scratch mine, essentially. It's an incentive. Which it is, right? It is. Sorry for being academic on you for a second, but it's a price discrimination tool, right? If you want to bring in the cheapskates, that's how you do it. You lower the price, the cheapskates come in, and that's perfectly fine. It allows you to increase the market size and share. It allows you to explore and get trials. And that's everything. That's all good and said. But now the longer list is the one with the cross on it that we're fearful about, right? It cannibalizes our sales, spelled in British English, sorry. It increases price consciousness, it reduces loyalty, it lowers price perceptions, it loses price credibility, all those bad things. So I think it was a erroneous assumption on their part. I think there's basically two things that I would like you to remember from my talk today, if you want. The first one is that a price promotion is not just an incentive. It is not just an incentive. It is a mixture of an incentive, but information. Whenever you put a price promotion, just like you would with branding, for example, or anything else, and you know that branding is information, but just like you do with branding, when you put out a price promotion, you give an information about the product, of course. Depending on the amount of the discount or the framing of the promotion, the customer might think, why is this thing on promotion? Am I buying something that maybe is faulty or not? That's a very simple inference. But also you're buying something about, you're learning something about the company. The pattern of promotion tells you something about the kind of company that you're dealing with. It tells you something about the retail industry in general. And it tells you something about yourself. So also often neglected, right? If I'm a person that buys on promotion, what does it mean about my own personal style? And we often forget that. And we often forget even more the fact that promotions are emotions. In fact, I would argue the majority of the response from a price promotion is an emotional thing. So when I talk about, and I'll show you later what I mean by a dumb and a smart promotion, and by the way, I don't have a better terminology than that. If you can come up with one, let me know. What I mean is that a dumb promotion is the perception that it is only an incentive versus a smart promotion starts from the idea that, hey, this money off thing that I'm doing, which is a small idea, is very tactical, very boring, we saw in the first slide, is actually a combination of that and information, which I can shape any way I want to, and emotions. Emotions play a very strong part, like I was telling you. Let me give you an example of how they play a very strong part in what you do. Let me show you another experiment. I do experiments in my research a lot, so with anybody, managers, consumers, students, anybody that crosses my kids, anybody that kind of crosses my path. So here's two cars. One is more emotional than the other. Guess which one is more emotional? Yeah, absolutely, right? So on the right, you've got emotional. On the left, you've got not so emotional, boring, whatever you want. So if you put, if you sell, they're equally priced, more or less, in fact, in Europe. You put those things on promotion, you sell those things, and the red dot tells you roughly the market share. So it's slightly to the right. People slightly prefer the more emotional product. Good. I put only the boring product on promotion, and I don't want to offend anybody who has a Volvo. I actually like Volvos a lot, because I'm kind of boring myself. So the promotion makes the sales, of course, go towards the Volvo because it's cheaper, it's a better deal. But if I put the BMW on promotion, the bump is much higher. That can only happen if somebody is processing the decision through emotions. I won't bore you with the academic details of that, but basically it can only happen if the consumer is making a decision. I'm not going to call it irrational because I don't think it's right, but emotionally. Similarly, BlackBerry and iPhone. Which one is more emotional? iPhone. So there we go. Red dot slightly more towards the emotional. Here is the bump for the BlackBerry. Very little. Here's the bump for the iPhone. And then, let's go to watches, Casio and Swatch, and exactly the same pattern. We see this. Sorry, here's the one, and then there's that one there. We see this all the time. Every single category I might do a test on, I see it all the time. When you put something on promotion, keeping it on, even when I keep constant the discount, so there's no sort of money difference, it's always moving towards the more emotional product. So there is lots and lots of emotions in discounting. So here's what is a very, very busy slide, and I don't want to go through all of these things, just to check my time. Okay, I don't want to go through all of these because I have some examples to discuss with you, but so over the years in my work with companies, I've kind of kept a list that's been growing. It used to be 5, now it's never was 6, 7. I think I've closed it at 10 items because I can only do 10 in a slide. So that's my rule for stopping it. It's 10 principles that I think differentiate a dumb promotion from a smart one. And again, if you've got a better terminology, please do tell me. And quickly, I want to go through these ones here, and then I'll fixate on some of them to give you some more examples. But okay, so first and foremost, a guiding principle, and I think this is probably the most important one. I think a company that has a more dumber approach to promotions, and again, I don't want to be insulting, and but it's just an incentive. What I said before, all I'm doing is giving you money off, and hopefully you will buy because I'm giving you a better deal. And I think it's important to understand that because of the emotional and informational issues with promotions, I think it's actually a starting point. There is nothing better, I believe, and you can tell me otherwise, there's nothing better, I believe, than to get people's attention than money, especially in today's economy. So, hey, you've got their attention. You got your consumers' attention. Now what? So I don't know what comes afterwards. That's for a branding person to tell you, or another visionary to tell you, but all I know from a pricing perspective is that now you've got the consumer's attention. But however, if we treat it only as an end in itself, hey, here's a discount, buy, then we don't even think of the fact that now that I got your attention, I can engage you in something else. It doesn't mean that the ones who respond to your promotion are price conscious. Everybody likes to pay less. The least price conscious people in the world like to pay less for most categories. So, okay, if it doesn't really correlate well with price consciousness, then what? Well, these people are there for something, whether it's the experience, whether it's the quality in the product, whatever it might be, but at least you've got their attention. Number 2, conduct. That's basically means how do you approach the process? Well, okay, remember it's a drug, right? So if you play it by ear, that's usually a bad thing with drugs, I've been told. Okay, because let's see how it goes. Let's try it and see how it goes. And before you know it, because you lose your mind, and you don't have self-control, you're in a spiral that's not a good one. So I think a smarter approach to promotion is one that is controlled, and I call it an exit plan. When you have to have a good promotional plan in the sense that when you go into a promotional period, you want to know what the promotion is for, and stop it when you get there. And it sounds so basic. But if I had more time, I would ask you to sort of fill a survey for me. How often do you have specified ex ante what your promotion is supposed to be doing, instead of just increase sales. So the conduct is more controlled. The target audience, very simple one. Not sure, here's a promotion to everybody through all the channels, versus, no, I want to get a specific kind of customer in the door. The fourth one is one that I think is one of the most important parts, is the behavior. Again, oftentimes we just see it as a discount and all we want them is to buy, and that's satisfying, which it is satisfying. But again, you've got this great opportunity to ask people to actually do something extra for you. When we usually forget that. You can ask them to buy something else, for example, or that's kind of like a little bit tacky, I suppose, these days. But maybe be social and connect, tweet for the discount, or lower your cost and behave in a certain way that lowers your cost base. So add behaviors, integrate with the marketing mix. Psychology is what I do. So it's one of my favorite ones. A dumb promotion is an incentive, is only money. So that's it. That's it, nothing else about it. However, psychology really, really matters. And I could show you examples of the same promotion presented in different ways, which has completely different reactions from consumers. Psychology matters. And you've seen this in all the popular books these days, Predictably Irrational, Nudge, and all these things that you may have read. Impact on brand. On the one side, a dumber promotion is one that says, well, I hope nothing happens to the brand. They're two separate things. A smarter approach is, well, actually, you know what? Again, I got their attention. She should be at least consistent, hopefully enhancing with our brand. And by the way, I should also mention that, this is a continuum, right? It's not as if we're one or the other. And also, we might be smarter and on some sides and dumber on the others. So, it's not as if it's a clear-cut sort of landscape here. Competitors, another very important one. The problem with discounting is that it's very easy to copy, and you've seen this, right? You do something one day, the next day it's been copied by your competitors. So is there any ways, can we think through any ways in which, even though it's a discount, we can gain some sort of exclusivity with our promotion? I'll give you an example in a second. And the last two are sort of, logistic things. What's our benchmark? Well, we have to have one, but sometimes we don't. And then metrics. Very often we just think about selling more tomorrow, and that's what we care about, and we record that. Hopefully we have a control group to know exactly how much more we're selling. But of course, brand health. How many of us measure the impact of promotions in long-term brand equity? Not an easy thing to do, but it can be done. And that's kind of what you want at the end, right? If you're fearful that promotions erode your brand, then you want to know what that particular impact may actually be. So I want to focus for the rest of the time that I have with you, and we're also going to have questions, of course. Let me just check my time again. I want to focus with you on these 5 things: guiding principle, target audience, behaviors, impact on brand, and competitors. So let me start. And these are all companies that I have or I am working with. So Biopower is a very interesting startup in the UK. These are all going to be, I think, European type examples. So Biopower is started 3 years ago now, and what they do is a thing called co-buying, okay, which is kind of a twist on Groupon, but a nice one, the one that's actually sustainable. Okay, so here's how it works. Basically, you are a car manufacturer, let's say, and what you do here, what you're asked to do here is you're asked to offer a number of cars, let's say 10, as a co-buy. And a co-buy has different price levels. You see 5 in those bars over there, from, in this case, 1,000 something to 400. But we're talking about cars as this example. And the more people agree to buy at the price at which it was at the moment, the more the price drops. So if the sale goes through, you will pay whatever is the cheapest price in that particular co-buy. So that's kind of the basic mechanism. And if you're a car manufacturer, what is one of the biggest problems of car manufacturers? Anybody in the car industry here? Probably not. What is one of the biggest problems of car manufacturers? Well, yes, I'm talking about a pricing one. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that can be a very, very big one. Sorry? Well, it's getting customers in a sense. Lead generation is one of the very, very big ones. So, okay, lead generation. So, amongst other problems, right? So, and a lead generation in the UK, a lead generation for a car company costs £25 per pop. And the quality of that lead generation, so because, I'm not selling T-shirts, I have to find somebody who wants to buy a car, right? So the 25 pounds per lead generation, and the lead generation is somebody at some point in time who wrote a card saying, yes, I would like to buy a car. That's a lead generation. Okay, so what these guys do is I put 10 cars on a call buy. 10 cars doesn't break the bank. It is not an end in itself, the guiding principle, right? It's not an end in itself. It's a means to an end, but it's the best way to get people's attention. I put 10 cars on a call buy. Within matters of minutes, hours, I get thousands and thousands of people active on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. People are taking their time to do a video about so a personal user-generated video about the car, because if you bring in the most people to the call buy, you get the car for free. So within a matter of 2 hours, and this is cosmetics, it could be cars, it could be anything, with a matter of hours, you've got thousands of very qualified social leads for the price of 2 cents or 2 pennies. Pence, what's the word in UK? I don't know which one is plural, which one is singular. Anyway, for very little, you get, not for 25 pounds, you get very, very, very qualified lead. And so on the face of it is a price promotion tool. That's the engine. Behind it is just a conversation starter. And he's been doing very well. He just recently signed up Tesco, for example, to do these things. You know you made it big in the UK when you sign up Tesco, because that's kind of the company that you want to emulate. So first principle there, one of the most important for me, is it's just a way to get people's attention. You're not going to break the bank by selling 10 cars. The point is not selling the cars, it's getting qualified leads in this particular industry. Now, in terms of getting customers, which target customers? So Sky is another company that I work with. Sky and myself have developed over the last few years a test and learn unit within Sky. Very big company, very, very interesting company. In 2006, way before I started speaking to them, that's the way they used to attract customers. You see anything wrong with that? I'm preempting that there might be something wrong, just in case. What might that be? Let me tell you, Sky has a monopoly in sports and has a monopoly in movies, basically in the UK. So what I'm doing, but however, it's the lead product. It's the reason why I go to Sky. Sky is the, I should mention, sorry, it's the company that basically has TV channels and broadband and telephone in the UK, amongst others. So, okay, so, hey, I am putting a discount on my lead product because it attracts people. And what I care about at Sky is to get a number of subscribers every single month. That's my goal. However, I'm putting my best and monopoly content, bless you, monopoly content for free. And what kind of customers do you think I'm getting? The ones who think Sky is crap. Literally, you see in the surveys, Sky is worthless. However, I'm with you, right? Because, I mean, the lead product, what makes you Sky, you're giving it for free. So what does it tell me about the product that you're selling? 3 months into the promotion, what do you think happens to the churn rates? Spike up. So the retention department is going crazy and upset with the acquisition department because they don't like each other to try and keep this thing going. So they did a JCPenney, by the way. In 2007, they went cold turkey on promotions. It didn't turn out very well either. So in 2008, what we started doing together, we started having promotions that are much more sort of, I would say, smarter in a sense. We started targeting promotions on the hardware, the box and the satellite, not on the software where I have my competitive advantage. And now people were no longer associating Sky with bad quality because, hey, now you're making me pay full price for the software, the movies and whatnot, the sports, but the box, which is just a tool that I have to have, which I don't necessarily care about, now that one there is discounted and is attractive to me. So, be careful with the kind of customers that you attract. Then this is Telenor, a company that I work with. They're one of the largest telecom operators in the world. They're Norwegian. We won't hold that against them. They operate in many, many different countries, including India. And so in India, very price-conscious consumers, And this slide is about changing behavior through promotions. Remember I told you about, you want them to buy, great, but buy and something else. So we want them to buy airtime. But what is end in the telco industry? Network utilization. very, very large customer base. We need to optimize our network because if we do so, we save lots and lots of money. So operational costs. So what do? We launch MyZone in India. MyZone basically means to opt into MyZone and you're a price-conscious consumer, you have to move from your $100 per month rate, for example, to give a basic rate, to 120. So you have to spend more, 20% more. However, you will always get a discount, which for the price-conscious consumer, it's great. I'm always getting a discount. It's kind of odd to think, but it works well. Now, when do you get a discount? Well, right now, this lady happens to be in a low utilization cell, and it's 4 in the afternoon, or 4 in the morning, I forget now, and it's on your phone, every single second, you get how much you're getting off your minute rate. So if it's 120, whatever it is, you're getting 60% off that. Fine. Here's my multimedia part of the presentation. If it should work. Yeah, there you go. People in India walk kilometers to make a cheaper call. Actually, in this case, it didn't work out that well, actually. It's the other way around. So my slides may have gone sort of astray. But basically, the idea is that one thing you could do is you walk around. Forget the numbers there. One thing you do is you walk around, and they do this with it's kind of a bit of a traffic hazard. But anyway, you walk with your cell phone. You see the percentage changing as you're going from cell to cell. And people do that. I mean, they're calling their mom. They sort of walk a little bit further away to call their mom. And this is what I would do. But if you go into a higher utilization cell, like in a city, then of course you pay more. I am getting people to change their phoning patterns to decrease my network utilization costs. So they're buying and doing something else. Then if of course it becomes night, right, then of course my rate goes again up. So I am getting people dynamic pricing. I'm getting people to change their behaviors across time and across geographies to make my costs lower in my network, and people loving it. Okay. Another example of changing behaviors, Barceló Hotels is a Spanish hotel company. I don't know if you guys have ever been to one. They're in the Caribbean and in Spain. 2008, they've just opened the biggest flagship hotel in Andalusia. I don't know if you know Andalusia. Andalusia is like the poorer region of Spain. 2008, 2,000-room hotel. What happened in 2008? Bad idea, right? They didn't know it at the time, but a terribly bad idea, right? So, and you know, these guys live by their summer months, and what they found is that basically people were not going to go to the hotel. It was going to be completely empty in the summer. So what they do is they said, well, we live in a world where, unlike airlines, we still have to go through travel agents in order to make our sales, right? And people basically buy at the last minute. Not like airlines, which you buy much early. It's very interesting. So what do? They launched a campaign called Super Summer. And the point of this slide is trying to exclude competition, to have exclusivity from competition. They call it Super Summer. They branded the promotion with the name. They had a famous actor from many, many years before, I forget the guy's name, but basically the tone of the commercial and the promotion was around, hey, I'm sorry for this being a little bit sexist, you're the breadwinner in the house, you're the man, this is Spain, and you know, you can be a hero too, there's a cape on that gentleman there, because you can afford, in the middle of the recession, to bring your kids and your family on holiday, even though things are tight, because of us. And the Super Summer logo, strangely enough, became very, very well known among Spaniards, even more so, by the way, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, than the actual company. Such that people demanded Super Summer, without knowing what it was, demanded the brand Super Summer instead of demanding Barceló or a promotion. But competitors could not copy it. They tried Hyper Summer, they tried Deluxe Summer, everything they could, but it was Super Summer that actually rang true with consumers. And in terms of changing behaviors, they asked consumers to buy online, which for you guys is completely normal, right? But if we think about Spain here, right? Buy online and buy early. The discounts was greater if you buy early. And of course, when you do that, your online sales increase. Your travel agents can't complain because it's the recession. They've got no customers either. And what happens is that you save 20% on margins that you would have gone to a travel agent anyhow. So you're kind of laughing all the way to the bank in the fit of a recession. And the final, I think it's my final example, comes from one of the things that I really enjoyed doing over the last 4 years. Since '09, I worked with the London Olympic Committee, pricing the tickets for the Olympic Games. Anybody went to the Games in London? Good, so I can say anything I want to and you won't know, right? The Olympic Games, okay, well, do you have a video that I want to show? I'm going to show you a video that will last about 3 minutes. The Olympic Committee came to my office in 2009 and said, you know, here's what we're positioned like. I want you to help me price it. Okay, can we show the video?
I don't think I'm proud of anything in particular.